The door has to remain open. So we'll call this open session, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next we have a new member of the board, not official yet, I guess, but Addison Zimmerman is going to be here to read our mega statement.
All students will graduate prepared with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors necessary to achieve their personal goals and make a positive impact in the world.
Perfect. Thank you, Addison. Welcome aboard. Once you really officially get into it, I'll usually give you a hard time about something every time.
If you're all right, if I ask her one question.
Have at her.
Are you ready to start with the board reports?
I sure am.
All right.
I'm excited.
That's good to hear.
Just not a whole lot going on over the summer, right?
Yeah. Although, yes, like you said, the tennis courts are amazing. New surfaces are greatly appreciated.
Excellent. All right, welcome and guidelines for public comment under 4.01. First of all, has anyone signed up for public comment, either agenda or non-agenda? Right. I won't go through the entire speech. Next is the Booster Club donation. So I don't know if that's going to be Mr. Gibbs or Mr. Thompson or both, or
Technically, we give the money to him. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Steve Gibbs, president of the Sky Booster Club. This is my third go-around as president, and we had a great year last year. Totally, the Booster Club raised over $381,000. The big thing from it was the extravaganza. We were at almost $200,000 this year in one night. Just amazing what this community does for it. But none of this would be possible without our board and our volunteers and our teachers and our coaches. For instance, tonight we have a soccer game over there, and we have the concession stands open. Concession stands bring in around $50,000 a year. So while you may think that selling popcorn and such like that doesn't really affect our bottom line, it really does. Our contributing cardinal, we have a number of individuals that are running that, set all kinds of records last year, and we're running out of room. We might have to go to a bigger thing because people want to support us. That brings in about $25,000 a year. Additionally, we have other fundraisers throughout the year that do great things, but the real thing we're excited about is the fact that you let us buy a video board. And we put the video board up into the gymnasium. And we got a loan, the Booster Club got a loan from Northwestern Bank. And Jerry Jacobson was beside himself because of what this means. For fundraising, great, but we're having the kids sell it, the kids run it, they're learning about it in their classroom, they have curriculum. He said, we're in for the highest rate, but we want the kids to come down and sell. He was so excited about the personal experiences that these kids will be getting in their class to be able to go out and use those experiences later on in life and become successful. So we're hoping to have that paid off within a year, and we're getting pretty full on our ads for it. So, but I wanted to thank the school board again for allowing us to do that, for allowing us to keep the proceeds, because as you know, everything we get comes back into the school. This year, Mike had a wish list from all of his coaches. And the greatest thing as a Booster Club member, the executive board, when we look through all that everybody wants, is to see the bottom figure and we know that our checkbook has in excess of that, so that we are able to grant those requests. So this year, on behalf of the Booster Club, yes, I have to turn it over. We would like to present a check to the athletic department for $147,000. All of the requests were granted. As you know, we have bigger and better things that we're working on, and you'll be apprised of those when they come up. We had the Hall of Fame ceremony this weekend for the two, and I just threw out the fact at our new project that if we got 8,000 alumni to pledge 1,000, we'd have the money for it. And some alumni just said, I'm in for 3. So I know that we're going to be able to do it, raise the money for it, and keep going along as we have. Any questions that I can answer from the school board?
Can you both smile toward the camera? Awesome, thank you.
So
All right.
Maybe not a question, but a comment. First of all, just to stress, and we do this every year, stress the importance of our booster club and the fact that not just the wish list, but I think it's also important that you talk about the fact that our kids are able to compete in sports for that limited fee that they have to pay, that other schools pay probably 10 times as much, and some kids can't afford. We don't have that here. I'm not going to thank you personally because I know you're not going to accept it, Judge, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank on behalf of the board, not just you, but every member of that board that you have, every member of the extravaganza committee that puts in a ton of hours donating their time, just watching even the setup take weeks out there to get the extravaganza going. For all of you that put that together, it's just amazing. And none of this, I mean, you know how hard it is to get anything in a budget nowadays. Everything is so tight, not just in our school, but this wouldn't be possible. This is just absolutely incredible, and thank the entire community for it.
I always said that everybody, after we show how much we made, I have other schools calling me and saying, how'd you do it? And I said, you wouldn't understand. They go, what do you mean? I said, you're not from Chippewa. I say, only in Chippewa can we pull this off, because our sense of community, our sense of pride, our sense of taking care of each other. This is what Chippewa Falls does. So our hashtag motto is only in Chippewa, because it can't work anywhere else. Husky Fest is about 40,000. The Abe's Fest is about we blow them out of, I mean, we have that donated 3 weeks into the selling of the tickets. So we sold out by spring break last year, so remember to get yours early this year. And on behalf of the Booster Club, again, thank you for allowing us to have the video board. It's going to be really cool this year.
I gotta get it up.
Oh, okay.
All right, next under 5.02 is the Chippewa Falls Senior High School. Ms. Donna Goodman is going to be presenting the school board showcase.
Well, thank you for inviting us to the school board meeting in August. You remember we were here last August as well, and we had the same operational expectation personnel. So we're trying to mix it up a little bit. Last year we talked about our people pillar, and we talked about our data. We talked about how we were connecting staff, by also talked about our hardwiring practices of rounding, and then also our BAR program, building assets and reducing risks, and how that connected our staff. And tonight, I was thinking about what can we actually really talk about to really talk to you all about what we're doing with our staff. And one thing that came to mind was how we are growing our own. So one of the best things that really hits home with educators and with all people is storytelling and telling our story. So we have some testimonials tonight. All of these wonderful people sitting in the back row are homegrown right here in Chippewa Falls, but also like through and work at Chi High, and they are going back to school to become educators, or already are educators. And we have one of our awesome teachers here that's going to explain how she contributes by teaching classes at our high school. So we're going to start off here by our paraprofessionals that are becoming teachers and our counselors. So we're gonna start off with Miss Tara Locke, and she's gonna, please just stand up in the back row and just kind of tell your story of like how you got to where you are today.
Hi, my name's Tara Locke. I work at Falls High School in the math department. I'm the instructional assistant in the math department. I started in 2011, and so I have been teaching a lot of math over the last 10, well, probably a little bit more than that, but years. And I waited till my daughter graduated. She graduated in 2020 before I went back to school because I was a single mom and wanted to make sure I was there for her. I was a little nervous about going back to school because it's a lot on your plate. And then Grand Canyon University proposed something with me with the HR director at the time, and it was a really good opportunity, and I highly recommend Grand Canyon University. It's you're full-time, but you only take one class at a time. It's an 8-week course, but you continually go. You don't have off at all, except for 1 week at Christmas. And so, yeah, it's been it's been really great, and I'm looking forward to being able to have my own classroom and teach some math, and yeah, so.
Tara?
Tara, when do you finish?
March 30th. I don't know when the official graduation is, but I'm down to 4 classes, so.
Congratulations. Yes, and that was one of the things, in
Yes,
letting
sorry.
us know when we are going to be available to be educators. All right, Sarah? would you say
Yeah,
something?
yeah. So I'm Sarah Hebner. I am from Chippewa Falls. I graduated from Chi-High. Previously was a social worker for 15 years. COVID hit, didn't like being a social worker, decided to come to the school district. We had somebody from UW Eau Claire come and talk to us about a program they have called Transition to Teaching, which Julie and I attended. And we kind of looked at each other and said, we're going to do this together, right? And so we both applied, and I will be graduating. I'll have my student teaching next fall from UW Eau Claire. So hopefully to do that here.
Julie Atkinson?
Yeah, I'm Julie. I guess I was a stay-at-home mom, raising 5 children for many years, and didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life. So when my youngest daughter was starting preschool, I'm like, it's time for me to figure something out. So I ended up going to CBTC for my foundation teaching program to get my associate, which led me 2 years later at the high school. Never thought I'd be at the high school, but I ended up really liking it. So I decided to follow Sarah and go to UW Eau Claire and graduate in, August. So.
Heather Mosher.
Hello, my name is Heather Mosher. I am from Chippewa Falls, graduated from Chi-High. I currently work at the high school, obviously, in student services. So I'm an administrative assistant in student services, so I work with all the school counselors, the school psych, and the school social worker. I am going back to get my master's in counseling. I'm actually going to UW Superior, though.
Okay.
But that's okay, my daughter's at Stout. So, so it's an 100% online program, and it's an accelerated program, so my courses are 7 weeks long. And I started this last spring of 2024, so I'll graduate in the spring of 2026. And my goal and hope is to remain in the Chippewa district first and foremost, but I would also love to remain at the high school. I really, really love it there. I love the kids. I love everything about it, and that's why I chose to go back to school. So there's word that Mr. Abel might be leaving in the next couple of years. So, I mean, if there's an opportunity for me to stay on it, I'd like to do that. Thank you.
Danielle Hatfield couldn't be here with us this evening, but she is attending Madison Area Technical College. She has been with us a long time. I don't know exactly how many years, but she is also a Chi-High grad. She's a super brilliant person. She can do anything for you, and with a smile on her face. And she's going to go back to get her HR license, and so she is working on that right now. So I have her for 2 more years, but then after that, she'll probably leave me. But Okay, I'm gonna go back one.
Before you start the other part, one of the things I would like to do is commend all of you folks for doing what you're doing. It is a public meeting and you are being recorded. And I'm gonna ask for your permission anyway. Do you mind if we use the things that you just stated as testimonials? Thank you.
Go for it.
Yes.
Especially Heather's, that seemed like a little positive.
Looks like a shameless plug.
I mean, I have a
Go
business
for it, that's
degree.
fine.
Ken's gonna see that as
This one I just put in here because we are so fortunate. We have consistent substitutes in our building, and Mike Hool and Nicole Darwin both have their teaching licenses, and they help us every day. I know Mike is there every single day. He's on lunch duty. He also is a pastor in town, so he has a weekend job, but he comes and helps us every day. And Nicole Darwin is taking on a long-term sub, and she's there all the time. So we're just grateful for those people with education licenses that are being able to serve our students. So I wanted to give them a big shout out as well. And then also with us is our very talented Caitlin Hahn, who has been an inspiration to my own son in so many ways, his all-time favorite teacher. And she's going to share a little bit about how she helps us on this path.
So I'm Keelan Hahn. I've been here for 15 years, unjaded, throughout all of 15 years.
Oh, someone's favorite.
And I'm in my 7th year at the high school, where I've gotten to help grow a lot of opportunities for early childhood education potential teachers with our top 2 of child development 0 to 2 and working with children. Those 2 courses alone will give our students 6 university credits through CBTC, as well as 3 industry credentials. And the number of students that I've had email me being like, Mrs. Hahn, what were those those certifications again? Because I just got a job and they need them. And these are still like our high school students who just got the job. So it's really exciting for that. But then our next 4, kind of helping out here, we've got 3, not students anymore, we've got 3 current employees of our school district. But we now have 4 courses that are giving college credit through CBTC. So our students who take all of these can get 18 free college credits through our transcripted courses, and they go directly through CBTC, through UW Stout, some of our Eau Claire courses as well. Donna gave me this number yesterday and it like blew my mind. In the last 5 years, we have had 1,482 Chi-High students take advantage of these 6 courses, these 18 college credits, which that's a semester of college that they don't have to pay for now, which is pretty exciting. And then the last one of Classroom Assistant, it's not transcripted, but it does get them out into every single one of our elementary schools, out to our middle school, and through the Cardinal Transitions Academy, and that gets kids into the classroom every single day where they are one-on-one with those students, and getting to read their weekly reflections and their final reflections is probably one of my favorite parts of the job, because I get a lot of comments of, oh my gosh, I did not realize all the work that you teachers do. And so like that's kind of nice to hear, but also the number of kids then who just go, working with this teacher or this student just solidified, I want to go into education. So it's just really exciting. I always tell my students when I'm doing this, like, I'm preparing my son who goes to this district, his future teachers, and I'm preparing my peers now, which is cool, but makes me old. So yeah, we have a lot of great opportunities for them.
Thank you so much. Just a shout out, so I have 2 sons going to be teachers, and they were both in the same class at the same time. Gavin was taking Intro to Education with Miss Hahn in high school, and Hayden was taking and paying for it at the University of Eau Claire out of his pocket, where Gavin was getting that course free. So it's so helpful to choose your career pathway, get on the path, and take advantage of all of the opportunities we have in our district. Last but not least, we have student success stories and testimonials of our new hires. So we're going to start off with Teresa Nichols.
Hi, my name is Teresa, and I'm also a Chi High graduate, but I just was hired on as a para. I'm working at Chi High as well. But prior to that, I worked 3 years at the elementary school in Eau Claire as a para, so I'm ready to gain more experience working with upper class. Next fall, I will be graduating with a bachelor's degree in special education. And then I also have my associates from CVTC with my Foundations of Teacher Education program as well. So I took some of those classes in high school and received those credits as well. And then I also did the education, like where I went out into different classrooms and did observations and aided the adaptive Phi-Ed gym teachers, and so I was helped with that in high school as well. So that's kind of what got me to where I am today. So I'm excited to graduate next year and hopefully teach in the Chippewa district.
Hi, I'm Ryan Krummenauer. I graduated from Chi in 2020. I took some of Caitlin's classes with the Education Assistance Program, and I was in some special ed classes at the high school, and I was in some middle school classes as well. I fell in love with kind of the passion and the idea of teaching, so I decided to take my career to UW Eau Claire. So I went 4 years at UW Eau Claire, and I have decided to come back to Chippewa because of how great of a district and how the community feel is here. So now I teach at the Chippewa Falls Middle School as a special ed teacher.
So last but not least.
Hi, I'm Allie Johnson. I'm also a 2020 graduate of Chippewa Falls. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't have the experience, of seeing students in action. And so I was able to take the classroom assistant classes in high school, and it solidified that, yep, teaching is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I went on to Eau Claire as well, graduated in 3.5, and I was fortunate to student teach in Chippewa as well. So I got to see not only the student side of things, but also now the teaching side of things as a student teacher. And both are reasons that I wanted to come back and now teach here, just because I was treated nicely as a student and as a teacher. So now I get to do that for other people as well.
Mr. Chuck, she's another one whose mom is a teacher in the district.
I should have had all you guys stand up
That's
too.
totally fine. It's okay. It's okay that I didn't have to.
We got a lot of great people here. So just moving forward and thinking about what's in store for us at the high school alone next year is we have 12 paraprofessionals currently this year, and we have 8 of our wonderful people that are going to be educators and a few that are going to retire. So I will have 8 openings for paraprofessionals next fall. So thinking about that and moving forward and trying to think about recruitment and sustaining staff, and we really are super happy that we are creating more special ed teachers for our district, which is really good because we have that need as well. And now also thinking forward about how are we going to get our paraprofessionals and people interested in it. We all have those awesome classes, but also word of mouth and just how to market our staff, our district, so people are aware of our openings early. And we'll be working with Sarah with that, but also like trying to get really qualified people that are passionate about serving our students, because that's what all of these people in the back row have right here. They found their why, they found their purpose, and they want to do education because they know the purposeful work and the impact they're going to have. This morning we, at the high school, we had CJ Risloff come and play piano and give a special message to our staff to start off the year, and just he gave a shout out to all the teachers he had and what an impact each and every educator has had on him, and it was so powerful. And I can even share it with you if I get his permission, but he played us a song on the piano. He's a very talented young man that was on American Idol, and it really was a great kickoff. But we talked about, like, years later, you find out what an impact you had. Not when the teenagers are in your classroom being teenagers, but years later we find out our impact. So that is so powerful, and I'm so grateful all of these people are following this path. So thank you for letting us have some of your time tonight. Any questions for anybody? Or? Thank you.
One thing, can I just, it's not a question, but specifically with Caitlin, in order for the students to be able to earn the transcripted coursework, Caitlin has to be able and qualified to teach those level courses. And so that is going above and beyond what she would need to do to be an educator in our district. And so because she's willing to work with CVTC and become a certified teacher to be able to teach transcripted courses, she and her colleagues in the career and technical education area are doing amazing things and providing additional opportunities. So a big shout out for that additional work that you do.
On behalf of the board, thank you all for everything that you do for us, including all the extras. I know that you're being mentioned tonight, but there's hundreds in the district, and it's just excellent. Thank you, Ms. Goodman. We're going to take just a brief break, let everyone clear out that is going to clear out. All right, under 5.03, we have the District Wellness Action Plan Annual Review, and that's Melissa Panchisson.
All right.
Magician.
Pancition. Like magician.
They even make it easy for me by saying them.
So yeah, I'm Melissa Pancition, the Assistant Food Service Director in the district, and we're talking about the food service and the student wellness policy tonight. So our student nutrition and wellness policy was due for our triennial assessment, and so that means we have to go through kind of like a questionnaire every 3 years, and these are the different categories that we had to look into. So each category kind of had some questions under it that we rated to find out where we sit with our policy. And then there was a score that we got at the end, so there was a comprehensive score, and we scored highest in the nutrition education area and the lowest in the wellness promotion and marketing area. And then there's a strength piece of it as well. So it kind of just is a number to tell us how like detailed those things were. And our nutrition education and implementation, evaluation and communication was the highest score on the strength rating, and then the wellness promotion and marketing was our lowest rating in that category as well. So those are some things that I guess give us where we're at now and some things to work on through the school year that we'll try to see what we can do to update the policy to meet what the hopes are for the policy. They kind of have like a guide for what like your policy should include and what details it should include. So I think a lot of the pieces we have in it, but now they're wanting more details than what we used to be required to have. So that's what our meetings will probably be going around, is going through each of these categories and looking at some of those details and where we can improve on our policy. And then just to share some things for food service wise, there's some updates with our nutrition standards. So our sodium limits have been a long time coming, and they keep pushing it off, and now they're saying beginning July 1st, 2027, we have to go to the next increment of lower sodium levels. So we'll see if they still hold true to that, because they've been pushing it off all these years as it is. So, but 2027 is what we're looking at. So we'll see what companies start to do to help us reach that. And then added sugar is now being addressed, and that will be beginning July 1st, 2025. So it won't impact this school year, but we'll have to be ready for it next school year. So we'll probably be seeing some changes with milk, yogurt, and cereal, because those are the three components that are being looked at closely on that, and it's how much sugar per amount that is allowed in them. So we might see some companies working on trying to change how much added sugar there is in those. Some things already will meet the requirements, but some will need to make changes for us to be able to continue to use the products. And then in 2027, they're gonna add another component to it and have a weekly limit on top of that. So we'll see where things bring us with milk, yogurt, and cereal in the next year.
Melissa, can you speak to how long these nutritional standards have been pushed down the road? Because I think they go back to the Obama administration.
Yeah, so the sodium was before my time here, and I think this is going to be my 10th school year here, so it's been pushed off for longer than that. So that one's a significant one of like each year is like push, push, push. But the added sugar one is a newer one that came up, and then they're already trying to implement it in 2025. So that one's like, here it is, push out right away. So, but yeah, at least 10 plus years. So like you said, with the Obama administration is what brought on the sodium limits, and they had, I think, 3 categories of increments that you had to go through, and they went to the first one and then have pushed off all the further pieces of it. So, yeah. And then just some other updates. Our Homestead expansion was completed last school year. So they had an added area for cooler and freezer, like a walk-in cooler and walk-in freezer area. Give them some more space for things. And then now we're looking at some high school remodel pieces. So that started with our serving line is quite old, and I guess I don't know the exact age of it, but it came to like there's some pieces that we're gonna start needing coming up, and that they aren't available for us. So we're at least going to need to look at a new serving line. So if we're looking at a new serving line, we figured let's look at how things are set up and if there's a better, more efficient way that we can have it set up. So that's in the very beginning stages, so we don't know what that will look like yet, but we are starting to work on that. And we've had 1 meeting so far and have another meeting coming up in September. So hopefully I'll have more updates, and we'll be doing some work next summer on this. And then our participation, it seems like we've been pretty stable with participation. We've seen a little bit of drop in enrollment, so that means we've also seen a little bit of drop in our lunch participation number, but it still has been about a similar percentage of students participating, so we like seeing that be pretty stable for us. I did calculate like lunch participation at 66.8% and breakfast at 38.2%, and I think that's pretty good numbers to get that many students.
While we're on that slide, Melissa, and I should have looked at it sooner, but do you have an idea of our ratio in regard to enrollment versus lunch participation and breakfast participation in relation to other school districts with similar demographics?
I don't have that in front of me, but so I don't know but it seems like it's a good number to be at comparatively, but I guess I can't state factually other districts' numbers.
If you do me a favor and look that up, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
It triggered something in my mind about nutrition, about kids eating and how they perform in school. And so I was just curious.
I can speak like for the high school because that's where my office is. That's where I spend more of my time and where I'm a little bit more focused on. And since COVID, it was free meals, so we saw a higher spike of participation in lunch and breakfast at that time. But I can say especially our breakfast program since the free meals have ended, has been lower than what it was pre-COVID, and we still haven't recovered those numbers since then. I would say lunch was a little bit more stable in that way, but our breakfast for some reason hasn't regained back to like the pre-COVID numbers.
Are there like grab and go breakfast options, or is it set?
Yeah, so like breakfast at the elementary schools, a lot of them have like in the classroom, so they send the meals out to them, and then any unused items they bring back and reset for another time. And then middle school and high school have, I believe middle school they eat in the cafeteria, so they get to come in sooner than the other kids not participating, and then they get to eat and go to class. And the high school has very much a grab and go
type, like grab it when you come in. We have it set up by the cardinal doors to try to get as many kids coming in through those doors, and it's not too far from the bus doors. So then they can just grab it, they go to their classroom with it if they want to, and try to get them to make it easy for them to participate and have something in the morning before class starts. And then our lunch prices, we've been able to keep the same, so they're still carrying over. These might also be the same prices that I started with when I came here. So it's been we've been very much able to keep prices as low as possible for students. And so we hope to keep that as long as we can moving forward as well. So this year, it still will be the same. And the only difference is we do have a few a la carte items that we have changed prices on due to the cost of those items. And those are just extra items that students can choose to purchase in the lunch line if they want to.
That's another one of those graphics that makes me feel old, because the breakfast cost at elementary school was my lunch cost at high school. In my day.
Yeah.
And my parents complained.
And I think it always will feel like that, because no matter what the cost is, it always feels like. But I think being able to serve a high school meal and a middle school meal at $2.50 and elementary at $2.25, like that's hard to beat, even going to the grocery store and buying components to make a meal to bring to school for a lot of people too. So that helps. And then it also keeping the reduced price kids who qualify, that they're also free. So not just our free kids eat meals for free, but our reduced, the kids that qualify for reduced price meals, we also don't charge them for breakfast or lunch meals.
I will say this on camera, and thank you, Ms. Bendish, and you and your staff members, and Susan Lang. You know, this is my second Division I school district that I've been in, and then I also talked to other superintendents, and food prices and school meals often come up in our discussions, and I'm thankful for what y'all do here, because I'm starting my 5th year here. I've only received one complaint during the course of that time. Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that that's the way that we are here, because I really think that our staff does a really good job. They really truly care about the products that they put out. Like obviously we have to follow the regulations that we are provided, so like we can't just embellish the meals however we want to. Like we talked about the sodium limits and the sugar limits that are coming and stuff like that. So we can't just like add in whatever we want to make it taste better. And some of like adding sodium makes food taste better, but they care about the food they put out there. So whatever they can do to make it taste good, be the right temperature, look good, smell good, they try to meet all of that so that when the kids are coming through the line, they're looking forward to eating their lunch.
I can confirm your thing about sodium. At my first fish fry in Wisconsin, I looked at the waitress when she brought the fish out, and I said, I tasted it, and it was good, you know, but it was bland. And I asked, do you have any spices I can put on this? And she looks at me and she goes, well, we've got salt.
So it's just great that we have the staff that we have that care that much about it to do the best that they can in the parameters that we have to meet. And so thank you for having me, and that's kind of the summary I have for you tonight, and I guess if there's any questions, let me know.
Well, I've got 2 things for you. One, I don't envy your job trying to reduce sodium, reduce sugar, and still have kids try to, or get them to try to eat the food. That doesn't seem like very promising job coming up in the next couple of years, especially as those levels step up. But the second thing is, I just have a question for you. Keeping the price the same when inflation has went up by 35–40% in the last 3 or 4 years, how? Can you tell me, I mean, are we getting extra federal money? How are you able to do that?
Well, during COVID, we were getting extra money through the program, and we did have really high participation because we were having free meals. So that did help, which also gives us a higher fund balance. So then because of the amount we have in our fund balance, then there's a limit of how much we can have in there, so then we need to use it in some way, and so we're putting it back to the students to help with lunch prices at the time, now that since we can do it. So hopefully in the future we can continue to do it, but if we eventually don't have a balance that can support it, then that means we raise lunch prices in the future too.
There was actually some legislation 10-ish years ago that said we had to raise lunch prices incrementally in order to meet the federal reimbursement rate. We've been able to apply for a waiver for almost all of those 10 years because it's a very efficient system in our school district, and it's one that you don't always find in school districts. Oftentimes boards sit here and make decisions about making food service whole. We're here, this department is, because of their good work and efficiency, we can make investment in our food service programs where we're not seeking other ways to do that from other sources. So a true credit to the food service personnel and staff. Making 4,600 meals a day, when you put that in perspective, is a big deal. And they do it day in and day out, oftentimes short-staffed, but they really pull together and they make it work. And our kids seem to enjoy it, so do our staff.
And that did remind me, our director of food service, Susan Lang, she did tell me also, like, when we got our last bid from our primary distributor, it was 40% higher than our last bid. So to show you, like, we see it in the grocery stores, but we're also seeing it, you know, on our end, trying to feed our kids. So it impacts every area.
Board members, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next under 5.04 is the introduction of new administrators. Mr. Holmes.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm excited this time of year, every year, when we do get an opportunity, when we do have new administrators, to introduce them to the Board of Education. And what I would ask is that when I call your name, please rise, tell everybody where you're at, and a couple of sentences maybe about how your first few days have gone. And I'll start from right to left. I have the pleasure of introducing Kari Koenig.
Hello, I'm Kari Koenig. I am the new principal at the Jim Falls School, and this is my 12th year of education, and I've lived in Chippewa for 10 of them, so I'm really excited to be part of the community teaching, well, I guess, being a leader in the community that my kids go to. To start off the year, I'm really excited. We had our last staff meeting, so before students come, we've kind of hit all of our meetings now, and we can just get our work done and invite the students. So I'm excited to get the school year started and meet the kids and their families.
Thank you.
Applause all at once. All of them together.
I wanted to ask, did you want to ask questions?
Oh yeah, did you have any questions for me? I sat down so fast.
Well, is it big shoes to fill from the previous?
Well, her shoes aren't that big when I look at her files, yeah.
And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Janet Goodman.
Janet Goodman, yes.
And she isn't new to us, but she's in a new position this year, so.
So hello everyone, I'm Janet Goodman. This year I'm at Southview Elementary. The last week or couple of weeks have been amazing. I really have appreciated the last couple of days where the staff have been in, because it's been a long summer waiting for them and getting everything ready. So it feels good to have people in the building again. And I am very excited to welcome the families. I can't wait for the families and the kids to start next week. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I pretty much have the same one. Is it hard, to fill the shoes of the previous principal?
I am going to say that I often have to go back and say, Sarah was at Southview for a very long time. So sometimes I just have to take a deep breath and know that it's going to come. But It is big shoes, I'm going to say that. It is. I'm very excited to be able to do it though. I know that I can do this, so I'm excited.
You don't have to wear heels if you don't want to.
I have bought some. I will be wearing some heels, yes.
And next, I would like to introduce Jamie Gansky.
Jamie Gansky, the principal at CVHS, as well as the Mental Health and Resiliency Coordinator for the district. I could not be more excited to start this year. I got to have our staff meeting today and get to know some of our staff a little bit better one-on-one. So it just felt really good to finally kind of have them in the building and just get that new start of the year feel and be back in a school again. Just felt really good to me. So if you have any questions for me, obviously Mr. Schaller was there for 17 years, so yes, I do feel I have very big shoes to fill. If that is your question coming, yes, he did an absolutely amazing job. So I hope I can continue the good work that he's done. Any other questions? Thank you.
Mr. Doug Diekman.
Good evening, everyone. Doug Diekman, Hillcrest Elementary School. My 31st year in education, so dates myself a little bit, but really excited about the opportunity to kind of take this journey in the Chippewa Falls School District. Very excited. I will say one thing just from being in some other districts, that the process from being hired to now today, just the support, and not just from everybody within the district, but even when you kind of extend that out beyond the district. You know, when you talk and hear about the community thing, it's very evident that it exists. Just when I'm starting to meet people and see people out and about in town, a lot of positive things to say. So it's great coming into that. You know, my family is establishing itself into this community because this is where we're going to end. As we're on a journey building a house right now on the outskirts of town. So we're excited. Had a chance today to have my staff meeting, so officially met everybody, which is one key element, right? In the summer you're in there and you don't get to see everyone all the time, but it's nice to have the opportunity to meet everyone today. Really excited too to meet the families and the kids. Ultimately that's where it's at. So looking forward to the open house and then getting this rolling next week, and hopefully we'll be kicking off to a great start and doing some great things at Hillcrest.
How's the air conditioning?
The room's great. I carry a cloth with me because I sweat really easy.
I went and visited with the first grade teachers today to see if, because they get the brunt of the sun.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure, and they said it was working good, and I was like, great.
We spent some quality time together in the library today, so fans and air conditioning was working, so we were good. Good, thank you.
Now to all of our administrators, thank you. I don't feel like we need to be introduced again, but okay, sorry. She'll get her own applause then.
But I do need more to tell us, how is the new employee week and everything else up to today? How is everything going?
It's been fast, but very exciting, and just continue to be so grateful to be surrounded by such great people that I can lean on and still feel comfortable asking for support. And you know, if I make a mistake or two, not too many more, that they're forgiving of that. But it's a weird transition from a building principal and what that flow is from the year or throughout the year to what it is now. I kind of feel like I'm coming back down as they're all wrapping up. So we'll figure it out. But it's been a great start, and just so grateful for this opportunity. So thank you.
All right, now I don't know, you guys now have other things to do, so don't feel bad about leaving if you want to leave. As we get into the meat of things here.
All right.
If you want to stick around.
Take advantage of that.
You ready for your classes?
You?
All right. Operational expectations. All right, OE5 Personnel Administration is next. Members of the board have received the CEO's monitoring report on OE5 Personnel Administration. administration. It is now the board's responsibility to consider the report as evidence of compliance in this area. Superintendent Holmes.
Yes, Human Resource Director Sarah Deneur has developed this monitoring report for review. At this time, I will ask her to provide an overview of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. So I would like to report that the Chippewa Falls Area Unified School District has demonstrated compliance in meeting 21 of the 25 indicators across the 12 key areas in our operational expectations for personnel administration. This reflects our district's commitment to effective recruitment, employment, development, evaluation, and compensation of staff in alignment with our district goals. Some notable strengths include our thorough background checks for all new hires and volunteers with about 187 employee background checks and over 1,200 volunteer background checks. And we have a hiring process that incorporates multiple data points to select highly qualified candidates. We have clear succession plans for key leadership positions. Annual evaluations for all staff categories using appropriate frameworks are in place. We provide ongoing professional development opportunities aligned with our district initiatives. We have strong protection of confidential employee information with no reported breaches. Regular market studies to ensure that we have competitive compensation, and our organizational culture is here, that we have here values diversity, inclusion, and professional courtesy. So while the district has made significant progress, there are 4 areas identified as not in compliance from the 23-24 school year. The first 2 go together with ensuring all employees acknowledge receipt of the updated employee handbook, as well as obtaining employee signatures and job descriptions. We did not have 100% of employees completing their safe schools or vector trainings last school year, so that's why we aren't in compliance there. Then verifying appropriate licensure and certification for all new hires. We did have some complications with certifying a tech ed teacher that was hired last year. So that's the only one that we had not been able to clear. And then also we need to work to provide mentors for all new staff members, including our non-licensed positions, so our hourly staff members. So to address these shortcomings, we have committed to the following for this school year, as well as others that you can find in the report. So the HR department will have regular follow-ups with the employees as well as their supervisors regarding the completion of safe schools, so we can verify employee handbook and job descriptions have been reviewed, as well as regular follow-ups with employees and their supervisors about licensing through DPI, and then also working to develop and budget for a district-wide mentor program for our classified or hourly staff. So these commitments are aligned with our district's Our People pillar and support our overall mega result. The administration recognizes that our staff directly impact students, families, and our broader community, and we're dedicated to creating an environment where all of our employees feel supported, valued, and equipped to excel in their roles. The Human Resource Department continues to adapt to evolving federal and state laws while maintaining processes that align with our district policies and expectations. The coordinated effort with other central office team members has allowed for coherence in staffing assignments, licensure verification, and validation of state evaluation processes for our certified staff. The district has also implemented a new volunteer background check called Raptor, and we are exploring some other options too to demonstrate our commitment to our student safety. Additionally, staff engagement surveys have provided valuable data points for us to consider while doing our strategic planning within the Our People pillar. So again, our district is in compliance with 21 of the indicators, and we would let you know that we will come back and share anything that would change in the future reports. Questions that you have?
Thank you, Ms. Deneur. At this time, I ask for the board's acceptance of the monitoring report.
Board members have any questions regarding the acceptance of the report? Otherwise, I would look for a motion to accept OE 5 as presented, or accept it as our own report to further discuss.
And this is nothing about the report that you've done, Sarah. I don't expect you to know coherent governance or the monitoring report. But the monitoring report was updated last August, so this is very similar, but it doesn't include all of the values that are in our policies. But with that being said, I will make a motion to accept OE5 personnel administration.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Peggy? So we have a new form that was supposed to be used, that we approved?
Well, so the district is in charge of the monitoring report form. We just have our policy, so when we do our policies, the monitoring reports need to be updated to reflect that. I just, when I'm going through and the numbers are out, it sends me out of whack. The biggest one that probably changed would be 5.12. It's 5.11 in our policy book. There's a couple that were added. So
Don't you think, I mean, if we adopted that last year, don't you think we should maybe table this then and bring it back to have because it should match our policies? And this is the perfect time for that discussion. If it's not matching our policies, then we shouldn't accept it until it is.
it's not far. I'll just give you a couple of examples. Well, 5.1 and 5.2, they were combined to 5.1. So like, that's not a big deal, but 5.12, which is 5.11. So for value individual differences of opinion, we also added and promote cultural awareness. You know, we have promote a culture of positive staff leadership relationships, provide feedback and coaching, focus on common achievement of the board's result policies. There's A through F, and on the old it was A through D. And, you know, maintain a positive work climate. Well, here we have maintain an open, responsive, and welcoming environment. So they're not that far off.
Okay. Well, I mean, as a member of the policy committee, if you think that they're close enough that we can go forward?
I put a motion on the floor. If there's not a second, it fails.
Would that be with noted exceptions though?
Well, we're just voting to
We're just
accept it.
voting to accept
When you
it.
say you put a motion on the floor, what was the specific motion?
To accept.
Okay. That's our own. All right. Motion by McKillop. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by McElwain. Any further discussion on that? I would look for, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. So this is now our report to discuss further. Do board members have any questions in particular regarding the report before we use our operational expectation policy motion language?
Well, the question you raised was, should we table this until we correct the?
Nope, we accepted it.
Well, yeah, because that would be the time to do it when we decide whether or not to accept it. Once we've accepted it, it is what it is. Now, understand that obviously next year, we're gonna want the language mirrored. So if you have any questions on that.
You want it on the correct form.
Okay, so, and if anybody would like to make a motion, if there's no other questions, using our operational.
I move that the district is in compliance with OE5.
I was going to ask a question. I was like, can
You ask
you,
before or after the motion?
Yeah. Go ahead.
can you provide more information on the staff surveys? So do they take one survey or is it, because I seen like it says staff and then it said teachers.
Yep, so we used to use Panorama for our staff, and so it's broken down, and it's a little bit confusing because it's not truly like classroom teachers and hourly staff, so it's broken into two different groups. And so when we looked at it with our, very similar questions are asked, and so we just looked to find the average between the two based on the areas of high performance and areas that we want to continue to grow in. And then we also have is the Cardinal Care, sorry, thank you. The Cardinal Care staff survey, and so that is more about how they feel about their job setting and situation. And then this year, because we were moving away from Panorama, we finished that one out to close it, and then also reinstated the Studer Huron survey for employee satisfaction, employee engagement, which we will be using moving forward.
So this would be the baseline then for Studer, essentially?
Correct.
So do you still use the district services survey?
Yep.
Correct.
And then were there any themes in like the comments? Like I know you mentioned like your strategic actions and whatnot. I don't know if that's been developed yet or.
We talked about that this summer at our admin retreat, and the way that we went, the direction of the 3 focus areas for our people pillar are around sub shortage and coverage, making sure people feel like they're able to do the job that they were hired to do, and in addition to support one another, so doing some problem solving around there, as well as looking at compensation. And then the third one was focusing on student behavior and how we can help and support our teachers through human resources and the Our People pillar with student behavior, so that that isn't having a negative impact on their feelings and perceptions about their workplace. So those are the 3 themes that we pulled.
Okay. Thanks.
Board members have any other additional questions? I believe Mr. Martineau was in the middle of a motion.
I move that the district is in compliance with OE5.
Just a question on that. So the recommendation was in compliance with noted exceptions. Is it your intent that?
Yes, I move that the district with noted exceptions is in compliance with OE5.
Okay. Essentially, so amended motion by Martineau. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The district is found to be in compliance with noted exceptions with OE5 personnel administration. Thank you, Mr. Neuer.
Steve, just one thing. I know going forward, there's a lot of challenges, but knowing you, these are opportunities. And so we look forward to your tenure here and how these opportunities are going to help our staff. So thank you.
All right, now turning to our results monitoring report approval process. Our 2.2 personal interests and strengths. Members of the board have received the CEO's monitoring report on our 2.2 personal interests and strengths. It is now the board's responsibility to consider the report as evidence of reasonable organizational progress in this area. Superintendent Holmes.
Yes. The Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Cardinal 4K, Katie Cottenberger, has developed this monitoring report for our review. At this time, I will ask her to provide an overview of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. So it's my pleasure to share the R22 Results Policy Report with the board and our guests this evening. On behalf of Scott Marty, Sue Kern, and myself, we co-lead the Student Success Pillar, which is our primary results that we look at in monitoring our progress. So R22 states that students will be able to identify and develop their skills in areas of personal interest and strengths with an academic career plan. And this report was originally scheduled to be shared in June, and we delayed the report until August because some of the data that contributed to the report was not released until late July. Since the release of the data, the charts in the report have been updated. So overall, we have increased the college or career percentage of students meeting that threshold to 80%, and that's of graduating seniors. And college and career maintained our 4-year high of 46%, so maintained in that. The report includes data charts from our academic and career planning actions, in addition to the overall how many students were meeting college or career and college and career, and some of the subcategories that are involved, and some of the demographic breakdowns as well. Then the report goes into the activities that are related to students having an identified career pathway, things that are occurring at the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level. And those are coordinated in great deal with our building leadership teams and our counselors and teachers in every building. It goes on then to go into some of the the data showing career pathway identification for our high school students, and you can see what they have chosen as their selected pathways. And students can change those anytime. But it is what they declare at the time where their interests are. And that helps them with course selection, keeping their goals going and moving forward. It also informs us on course selections, what we need to have offering, and where we're supporting in that and making responsible fiscal decisions. Going on then, we have student interest survey information from the elementary and the middle school. And that was shared as well from last year, but some fun interests that our students are sharing and identifying. In our commitment to improve, we are working on developing student success dashboards at the middle school and elementary school levels to help monitor our progress toward that graduating senior profile. And in the chart that you see near the end of the report is how we've taken, if you look at the high school column, that's what's been established and what we've been reporting on for a number of years. We're working on finding those meaningful measures that connect to the high school outcomes that are progress toward at the middle school level and relevant and progress toward at the elementary level. These are in development with our teacher leaders and our building leadership. And the chart that's in here has already been suggested for some recommendations and changes based on our August meetings with those really important leaders from all of our buildings. So that is what we are working on, continuing to build and align building goals and action plans to support continued and increasing success. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Koppenbarger. At this time, I would ask that the board accept the monitoring report.
All right, board members, it's now our job to accept this report as our own, if it's accurate and if it is what we want to have presented. So, are there any questions regarding the report itself? Otherwise, I would look for a motion to accept our 2.2 personal interests and strengths as our own report to further disseminate.
Motion.
Motion by Martineau, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by McElwain. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. R 2.2 is now ours to discuss. So, board members have any particular questions regarding the report before we vote on whether or not reasonable progress has been made?
The only question I had, and maybe this is coming next month, but I know I've run into a few of our students that are participating in the summer work program, and the ones I've talked to have said it's all going really great. But kind of pertaining to how this works in the pathways, I know that we kind of opened that up this summer, but is that all kind of going well, and then will that inevitably integrate into this for the coming report?
So in order for us to be able to use that metric, according to Redefining Ready and DPI's definition, students have to have, it has to be, the work that they're doing has to be aligned to a course that's offered at the high school. So for instance, if we have students doing residential construction, or we have students in the summer doing CNA training, those are directly connected to the courses that we offer at the high school. If a student is working at, let's say, a restaurant, and we don't have a course that's aligned to the work that they're doing there, we can't count that on this dashboard that we have, according to the Redefining Ready metrics that are available to us. So as you heard tonight, the kids, they're not kids, well, to me they're kids, they always will be, but the young adults that we're presenting tonight, you heard them talk about the coursework that they took in high school, and that the courses that they took directly aligned to the college courses they were taking, the experiences that they were having to lead them to that particular career pathway. So the answer is yes, dependent on whether or not the student's employment is related and directly connected to the coursework that they're doing at the high school that we offer. If it is not, then we can't count that metric at this time on our dashboard.
Okay, and so, okay, that kind of answers my question then, and then so I assume then probably next month or so, we will hear on kind of the enrollment rates and how the work program through the summer then went.
Mhm.
Some future time also, yeah.
We 11.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes.
Great, board members, any other questions? Otherwise, I would look for a motion using our results policy motion language.
That the district has made reasonable progress on monitoring report 2.2, and students will be able to identify and develop their skills.
Motion by Jasper.
Second.
Second by Martineau. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board finds that reasonable progress has been made in R 2.2, personal interests and strengths. Thank you, Ms. Koppenberg. All right, next is the board's consent agenda. Any parts of our board's consent agenda that a board member would request be removed for separate consideration? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the board's consent agenda as presented.
So move.
Motion by Olson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Martineau. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board's consent agenda is approved as presented. Next is the superintendent's consent agenda. Is there a request made to remove any part of the superintendent's consent agenda for separate consideration? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the superintendent's consent agenda as presented.
Motion.
Motion by Martineau. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by McKillop. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The superintendent's consent agenda is approved as presented. Under matters reserved for board action, there are no items removed from the board's consent agenda, no items removed from the superintendent's consent agenda. Next is consideration of policy committee meeting notes under 10.03, and the chairperson is Dennis Baird.
So we met on the 30th.
Policy committee.
Well, we're line, and I guess we looked over the preliminary changes and everything that was vetted through the administration and legal counsel. You know, it basically is following the state statutes, and there's not a lot of wiggle room there, unfortunately.
Federal
Statutes. So that you know, we kind of talked about it, and everything went good, and we've made a motion to move it to the board for full board consideration. So fairly straightforward on that. Anything I missed?
So the recommended action is to approve the policy committee meeting notes for the meeting as presented. If we do that, does that mean we've approved that recommendation, or do we have to vote on that separately?
We have to approve the policies.
At our special meeting.
Yeah, we approved the policy. We already approved the policy.
Okay, that's right. All right, then since we've already done that, any board member have any questions for either Mr. Fear or Peggy McKillop and Sherry Jasper are also part of that, if there are any questions?
The only question I actually had on it, which I know would be for you guys, would be did we get an updated list on schools that would be still using the 2020 guidelines for
I
the.
haven't gotten a new one since the one I provided last time.
Yeah, not since the last time.
Nope.
That was the last.
That was the
Nothing
last.
since.
There's been no update or.
No, there's been no further schools added or injunctions or anything like that.
It's still a mess.
Yeah, well, I had some people reach out and say that they had signed up, and so I didn't know if that would be, I don't know how often it's updated for us to see.
It could probably, and again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm particularly not a lawyer in regard to federal courts and how they operate, but more often than not, the only way those would get updated is if a judge asks for it. Right?
I've never seen anyone introduce themselves like that, by the way. I'm not a lawyer. Even if I was, I wouldn't know that.
I got a feeling, based on everything that I know about how those things have operated in years past, that it would be a lawyer coming to the judge saying that we need to add more names to the current list that they have that reside in the courts, that it would be up to a judge to decide whether or not those lists need to be updated. Right?
So at this point, there's nobody, we have, at this point that we know of, right? That we've been informed, we have no schools in our district on the current injunction list. Right. So
Correct.
the policy we passed was for an update, and so all of our schools are in the new policy. Yeah, and I think perhaps, Dennis, is because there was a cutoff date that was put out there, like you had to be, like that date of when the list was made, they actually gave an extra week to that group, but that was it, there was a date and they cut off, so if it was after that, then they weren't accepting that. Yeah.
Allow for them to be added to the list.
Okay. If there are no other questions, then the recommended action is to approve the policy committee meeting notes for the 7/30/24 meeting as presented.
So move.
Motion by Jasper, is there a second?
Second.
Second by McKillop. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes of the policy committee meeting for 7/30/24 are approved as presented. Next is 10.04, resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed 6.6 million, issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program. Mr. Trowbridge, I assume?
Yes, thank you. This is an annual process for us. We have participated in a short-term borrowing pool for, I think, better than 10 years now. I should probably look that up. But in essence, what it does is allow us to pool our borrowing needs with other school districts, so we maximize the interest from to produce a more competitive rate for us. So we work with bond counsel to prepare a resolution that allows this parameters resolution so that you don't have to come back at another meeting. Districts that participate don't have to have a meeting on the same night. Essentially, you're authorizing a not to exceed amount, and it authorizes us to execute documents on the board's behalf. There's quite a lengthy resolution recommendation there. Would ask for approval of that.
And just to clarify, this is just temporary because our revenues and our costs are not at the same point in time.
Correct. We go through a cash flow analysis to identify our highs and lows. This is the amount needed to meet those low times between getting our aid payments from the state and also our tax levy money, which comes after the first of the year, in order to pay our bills, pay our people, and keep our district.
I know that, but some people don't like it.
Thank you. I should have said that.
So the recommended action is to approve a resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed 6.6 million, issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program. Would anybody like to make such a motion? Motion by Fear, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Martineau. Any further discussion? Clerk, roll call, please.
Spear.
Aye.
Dave Martino.
Aye.
Sherry Jasper, aye. Sharon McElwain.
Aye.
Peggy McKillop.
Aye.
Steve Olson.
Aye.
Dave Check.
Aye. All right, motion carries as presented. 10.05 is consideration of budget transfers and adjustments. And again, back to Mr. Trowbridge.
Thank you, Mr. Check. You have included in your packet the same reports that you had last month, but updated as of August 19th. I stated last month in July that I would come back if there were any significant adjustments or material changes to what was presented to you last month. Throughout our ongoing audit process, DPI determined that the way we made our trust whole for our retiree medical expenses was not eligible for 2023-24, and it was due to the timing of the payment to the trust. My biggest concern here was maximizing our aidable cost. So we were able to shift some of our ESSER 3 expenses to aidable cost in order to kind of neutralize any potential aid loss. We do have until September 30th to expend our ESSER 3 funds, so all of this is allowable, if you will. So internally, we went through a process of identifying some ESSER 3 eligible expenses that would be eligible July 1 through September 30th. In essence, what this does is lower both our revenues and expenses for 23-24. So for us, putting just slightly more money into fund balance than what we had proposed last month, so additional $158,531. Maximizing aid here is really important this year, with more money going into the aid pot and of course the passing of our operational referendum. So that piece was super important as we worked through this. What I'm proposing here is that we would adjust the timing accordingly and include this in our budget hearing as we come into October. This doesn't require publication. What we'll do then is, if approved, restate when we do our final budget publication as we prepare for the October board meeting. I would ask for a motion to approve the budget year-end plan as presented and of course answer any questions that you might have. It's not the way I would have liked to have seen this. Sorry to bring this forward to you today.
So why was there a change in the timing or
It just, there's a guideline in terms of when the payment needed to be made, and it was after that date.
Okay.
We asked for an exception and it was denied.
Okay.
It all washes out in the end because you just took the money, but then we're not gonna spend the money.
It's just simply a timing issue, yep. So we'll include it in 24-25 forward.
Board members have any additional questions? Otherwise, what was the language that you were recommending?
Ask for a motion to approve the budget year-end plan as presented.
I make a motion to approve the budget year-end as presented.
Motion by Martineau, second by Fear. I think this is also a budgetary one. Any further discussion? I'll look for a roll call on this one too.
Dave Martino.
Aye.
Dennis Spear.
Aye.
Sherry Jasper, aye. Sharon McElwain.
Aye.
Peggy McKillop.
Aye.
Steve Wilson.
Aye.
Dave Check.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Thank you again, Mr. Trowbridge.
Welcome. Thank you.
11.01, probably back to you again.
On a roll.
Enrollment
Get my
update.
3 out of the way. What you have in front of you is enrollment as of today. There are
seniors.
As I mentioned, each month our enrollment does fluctuate on a daily basis, but as we approach the start of the school year here, we have some kids moving in, some kids moving out. But ultimately, what we're seeing here is a fair amount of consistency as we approach the start of the school year. There are a couple areas that we have been watching. You took prior action on second grade at Hillcrest, kindergarten at Homestead. We are still keeping a close eye on first and our kindergarten and first grade at Southview, and also our kindergarten numbers at Stilson. If something there necessitates a change, you will see that in the future. So keep an eye on everything, obviously, but those are the things that we're very closely watching at this point.
It's one of the largest senior classes I've seen come through in a long time.
It's pretty good sized. I
I always thought 360, 370 was an average.
A little higher. We may not see that many seniors when it comes to the pupil count, but that's what our enrollment is now.
400 1 year.
Quite a while ago. Yeah.
So when will you make the final determinations on the different elementary schools? Will you wait till see who shows up for school that first day and then?
Probably after next week.
Chad, is our open enrollment fairly consistent with where it's been in the past?
It is fairly consistent. We've kind of had that 2-to-1 in-out, or out versus in ratio since the history of open enrollment. These are really tough numbers to peg right now, especially out. We're waiting for information from receiving school districts. I expect that the out number will change quite a bit by the time we get to the September count date.
Right now, do you think, I mean, would you predict just?
Expect it to go down.
Okay.
So this huge class that's graduating, obviously, and we got classes that are coming in about 280, replacing a 390, so we're expecting to lose about 100 kids next year. How is that kind of built into our budget?
It's a 3-year average, so that won't hit us until the following year and the years after. But we saw a similar sort of thing for each of the last 5 years where we graduated higher class sizes than we brought in. So there's some hold harmless provision in the revenue limit that kind of keeps us whole, but essentially between that and the loss of ESSER funding was the whole predication of the referendum. We have definitely been planting seeds about the need for the 25-27 budget and some advocacy around additional money for schools. It's a statewide trend lately. A lot of boards right now are passing resolutions for November referendum. There are a lot of operational referendums that will be on the ballot coming up. The pupil count officially is Friday, September 20th. I think it's due September 30th, so a relatively quick turnaround time, but I should have a pretty good indication for you at the September board meeting where all of that is going to shake out.
All right, board members have any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Trowbridge.
Thank you.
Next is 11.02, summer school programming. Ms. Cron.
Thank you, President Check. It is my pleasure to share information about the wrap-up of our summer programming. We continue to have summer programming for extended learning opportunities for students in our K-12 system. Summer programming this year took place at Parkview Elementary School. Janet Goodman was our principal for the elementary school. We also continue to offer extended learning opportunities for our middle and high school students as well. Joy Wackwitz has been the middle school principal and continued to do so this past year. And then Roger Skifstead stayed on a little bit longer past his retirement to manage the summer high school programming as well. We had a total of 180 students at the elementary level, K through 5, who participated in the extended learning opportunity. I am always so appreciative to communicate that we always have our own staff working with our students. In my 7 years, organizing, facilitating summer programming, I have only one time had to look outside of the district to bring in staffing for our summer programming, and that is the best case scenario for our students. The students are familiar with the staff members, which gives them a comfort level. Our staff members are familiar with the curriculum, our instructional practices, so it's fantastic that way. We had 74 students at the middle level participate, and at the high school level we had 77 students who did course recovery options so that they can stay on track to graduation. We also offer additional opportunities for our students outside of the course recovery and learning recovery process. And you can look at the numbers on the report that I provided. Strength and conditioning continues to be a very well-attended summer offering. Last year, we extended that to the middle level again, and those numbers increased to 130 students this year. You can see them out during the summer and going through a lot of the workouts that are available to them. It's great to see our kids staying engaged and active in the summer. We also have our music department who offer music lessons and camps and workshops for our students, marching band. Those are highly involved as well with our students. We also have leadership development with our web program and our link program at the middle school with a total of about 150 students who participate in those two activities and provide the support to our incoming 6th grade students and our incoming 9th grade students. And it's a great peer-to-peer leadership opportunity as well. I listed the individuals. This is not something that Sue Kern just can pull off on her own. It requires a team. And I just want to give a shout out to those summer school principals who spend time over the course of the entire year preparing for summer programming. We also have people that are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Mike Burrow, Marilyn Burrish, Heidi Keffer, Sarah Clark, Sue Lang, Randy Knowlton, Kurt Nelson, and Mike Thompson are also highly involved in helping to make sure that our summer programming goes off smooth for our families. One of my own personal goals this past year was to increase the number of partnerships that we had for our elementary students. We had tried to do enrichment opportunities internally one year, and it went okay, but I felt like we weren't able to really reach as many students as I would like to provide those opportunities. So early November last year, I put out an all call to a lot of community organizations to talk through the opportunity to do a partnership and a memorandum of understanding so that we could work with them to create opportunities for students. So this past year, we added opportunities for our students to participate in the Girl Scouts, the Boys and Girls Club, Chippewa Falls Parks and Recreation and Forestry, UW Stout, Beaver Creek Reserve, Eau Claire Children's Theater, and the Pablo Center at the Confluence. And you can see the number of students that engaged in those opportunities over the course of the summer. It was fantastic. I think probably my favorite was the junior zookeeper program that we had partnered with the Parks and Recreation. The students at different grade levels were part of the junior zookeeper, and the zookeeper worked with J.C. Lee, who is our teacher of record, and they created week-long lessons for the students to work with the animals, to learn about what it means to be a zookeeper, what's behind the scenes. I was there the day that they were feeding the animals and talking about nutrition and dietary, and Ralph, I don't even know what the animal was. He was frightening, actually. But it was great just to have the kids have that experience of going behind the scenes. But we tried to really create opportunities that would reach and meet the needs, as Katie shared in the report. We have kids who like different things, and so we really looked at what our students are saying through our surveys and tried to create those partnerships and opportunities so students could engage in those opportunities. So you can see I gave you a link, summer programming information. That just gives you just the basic information that I use to reach out and what our partners had responded to. From this point forward, I'll use all of that information to create a report through Department of Public Instruction, and based on our participation and average daily attendance in these opportunities, we get a certain amount brought back to us. So it works out well for us as a district. It's kind of a win-win situation. If you have any questions, please let me know.
You really have 742 students in Boys and Girls Club?
So they weren't there every day, but over the course of the summer, we had that many students who participated. You'll see on here that the YMCA wasn't. We partnered with them last year with Feed My People, and we talked about it. but they were having some staffing issues, and so we decided not to partner this past summer, but that's something that we'll continue to look at and bring in, because again, working with the community and providing our kids opportunities is really fantastic.
Board members have any other questions? Hearing none. All right, thank you, Ms. Crum.
You bet.
Next, under 11.03, Neola technical changes. Superintendent Holmes.
Yes, I need to make the board aware of a lowercase parenthetical a change in this latest technical changes up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was it.
That's, you got 38 pages of attachments here, and that's the highlight.
That's it. That's it. A lowercase parenthetical.
Board members have any questions or concerns?
They should all be this.
Anything that's in the green.
All right.
Good thing they don't go over my.
All right, thank you, Mr. Holmes, for your presentation. Very concise. 11.04, discussion of board activities. August 1st was the CISA 10 annual convention. Dave Martineau was there. Tell us how that went.
I was not there.
You were not there.
No, I was not there. I had a conflict, and when I tried to, the meeting time that I had was different than their meeting time, so I did not make it.
We're supposed to have a sub for that, aren't we? Isn't that somewhat, that's the one that's mandatory that we attend?
WASB is.
So what are they, what
Backup.
are they gonna do?
Well, I emailed them, they never got back to me, so.
Okay. All right, well, no report on
I
that.
have a PAC meeting coming up with them next Friday, I believe. I'll find out.
Okay, August 10th was the Pure Water Days Parade. Anybody attend that? Somebody that attended the parade. Oh, well, that really wasn't a board function then, was it? August 20th was the mentor-mentee luncheon.
I did attend that. And the lunch was wonderful. It was 4:30 a.m.'s coffee truck, and it was just, it's always wonderful to feel the energy of new staff with their mentors, and just know that we're doing good things to get people on board and moving ahead.
Okay. August 26th, yesterday, was the all-staff kickoff. Board members were present there. Since I presented there, I'll let somebody else speak on that. Who was there? Anybody? Go ahead, Mr. Olson. And by the way,
We're jaded.
you guys are all jaded over here, so we're gonna look over here. But just, Ms. Zimmerman, just so you know, you can feel free to call him grandpa or great grandpa, one of the two. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's me and you on this one.
Sure, he had
Kickoff went well. We listened to some inspirational talks from our board president, motivating. But it was, I think the teachers were, I think it's always difficult because we're doing this inspiring talks and we're trying to get them in, and they're sitting there on their minds are going, just get me to my classroom and get started on this. So it's, there's a lot of mandatory stuff that goes with this and stuff, so trying to find that balance is always interesting.
Ms. Cook's presentation I found extremely interesting. And the whole time, there's another student that was in my classroom, so I'm feeling very old this week, so.
Student, also another child of a
She was
teacher?
in my first kindergarten class.
Oh, she was? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, I taught with her mom for quite a few years at the middle school. She was one of my favorite people.
I also had a experience yesterday that made me feel old, but it was just, I was so grateful for it. One of our new hires at the middle school, one of our new 6th grade teachers, I've known her since she was 4 years old, and she was in my youngest son's class. And I have memories of picking her up when she was 4 years old and throwing her up in the air. And that was back when I was in pretty good shape. And she would go up 12, 13, 14 feet in the air. And she was just all giggles, and her parents were both instructors themselves there in the district that I was working in at the time. And to greet her when she walked up yesterday, to greet her as now a full-fledged teacher in our district, it was amazing to see. And I do think she will do a fantastic job for us as well, but it just made me feel so old when she walked up.
It is always an exciting time. all
Could I say something with regard to what you had said, Steve? We know that anxiety happens with the staff, and there are a lot of things that have to happen collectively, but through the calendar development, our staff have a work day built in this week, and then they also have a professional development day, which should help. Maybe we need to put them at the forefront. We've tried that before, but then they said, don't do that. We want to kick off first. And so we keep trying to work the calendar to meet everybody's needs, but our staff will have a work day built in for them to get into their classrooms and take care of their own personal business, and then they'll have the professional development day on Thursday, so.
I'm sure whatever you do, there will always be that anxiety of the first, of what you need to do in your mind to be ready for it, so.
Well, I felt bad that after our talk, then we're leaving Scott Marty with the unenviable task of trying to keep people's attention on, computer safety. But from what I understand, you made it pretty exciting. I had to leave, but everyone says you had a pretty good presentation, so.
I made my best effort, put my best foot forward, and I did not throw up on the stage, so I kind of felt.
Is that a real consideration?
It kind of felt like it. So it's been a few years since I've been in front of that big of a crowd for that monumental, and actually I don't think I've ever had that monumental of a task before, trying to do a full 2 hours, right? And luckily Luke and Cara, Luke Short and Cara Schuler were both there to help split the task with me, which was I was extremely thankful for. But yeah, it's been it's been a hot minute since I've had to do that. So, and no matter what, anytime that I've ever done that public speaking, I do get nervous. I can't help it.
You did well, and don't forget, you asked for it.
I did. I shouldn't sit here and complain. I was the one that asked for it. I'm like, we got a lot of stuff to cover tech-wise. Can I have some time? So I'll zip my mouth now.
I also got to ask right now, do board members have to get their computers duo factored?
We probably should end up doing that at some point in time as well. Yeah. I guess I was.
Not hard. No. I can do it. So.
I don't think that was really we'll get the building done first, and then we'll come back and we'll take care of the board. But it's probably not a bad idea.
All those that don't understand what you're
So Cisco Duo is multi-factor authentication. That was one of the things that we presented on yesterday, because we're rolling that out this year. Actually, technically, over the course of the next 2 years, we're going to spare our building and grounds and cafeteria staff until next year, while we get it all up and running. But essentially, it's the easiest way to handle it, which we're advocating staff do, is it's an app that you can download from your app store on your phone, and all it is it links to the Cisco Duo account that we end up creating in district that attaches to. We're starting with Microsoft Active Directory, so when you log into your Windows computer, we'll eventually tie it as well to Gmail accounts, Skyward. Skyward will probably take us the longest, and also Infinite Campus. But essentially, it's a cybersecurity precaution that a lot of insurance companies are advocating for. It's much more secure than just a complex password. You have to have your password as well as then your security check or your security code. So when we get this all synced up, and a lot of us in the room actually have already had it so far for the last 3 months, but whenever you go to log into your computer, to make sure that you are you, and yes, you have more than just the password, it automatically sends a message to your phone. There's a little pop-up, you click on it, you click the check mark saying that, yes, that was me, I'm the one that did it, and then it logs you right into your computer. So we're trying to make it as painless as possible. We opted to go with Cisco Duo because we knew that we could do it with all of our major systems that house our most important information. And so my department and I will continue to do whatever we can to hold off and I believe I've said this to you before when I've been in the room, in my colleagues in my profession, they always talk about it's not a matter of if but when a cybersecurity event happens, and my goal is to push that when off as far as I can, and we're going to do whatever we can to make that happen. So, and that's part of why I wanted to present to the staff yesterday, is to get them aware of exactly how important that all is, and why we have to move into the realm of multi-factor authentication, so.
So Steve, what he just said, did that sound like a Charlie Brown teacher
For
to
the
you?
record, we never logged in when we used slide rules when I was in high school.
I think what you just heard was off.
Just saying.
You know,
Never,
Steve,
ever,
there are people in this room that don't even know what a slide rule is.
sorry, but that was the first calculus,
I know.
calculators.
How was it having Socrates as a teacher, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, you're laughing now, but you're the one that's gonna have to work with me, so you know who's gonna be laughing.
Good luck.
I already have the app downloaded because of my work. It'll just give me the same message through that app, right?
Yeah, you won't have to download anything different. You can, and actually we didn't teach this to the staff yesterday, but the cool part is that if you don't have another multi-factor authentication program, you can put everything into Cisco Duo. Like it doesn't matter that we're utilizing it as a school district. It's its own thing. It's just it's a quick check factor back and forth. So if you've got other accounts that you want to put in there, you can. It's nothing ties together at all other than just being the method of security checking. So.
Great. Let's see. So that was all board activities. Next is 12.01, discussion of meeting. Anybody have any comments about the meeting? Was it a balanced discussion? Did we all actively listen to all points of view? All get our chance to pick on Steve appropriately? Just doing it for her sake. All right. Future agenda items and upcoming events. September 4th is the first day of school, district-wide. September 13th is Coffee and Commerce at 8 a.m. at Caribou Coffee. September 23rd at 4:30 is Business After Hours, Myron Construction. September 24th is the regular monthly board meeting. September 26th to 28th is Wisdom Sharing 2024, Seattle, Washington. Peggy and Sherry are already signed up all the way to Seattle. That's dedication. Thank you for doing that on behalf of.
You have to go through the fish.
You were probably coming back too.
Well, I'm going to Texas on that Tuesday, so.
Not coming back.
Seattle to Texas, that's a little bit of a.
And October 23rd is the WASB Fall Regional Meeting off Broadway Banquet Center in Menominee. And Sherry is the WASB delegate.
And I will go, but you know, there are some boards that everybody goes. It would be kind of nice if somebody else would like to come along, anybody?
I will go.
Thank you, Peg.
I've been to one already.
I know you've been to one, that doesn't mean.
They have it every year.
I've been to one too.
We'll talk.
All right.
All right, are there any other items coming up or in the past that we missed on any of those discussions?
Dennis, it's a free meal, by the way, too. So, you know.
Time away from your kids.
All right, then 13.01, we would look for a motion to adjourn at 8:50 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Martineau, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by McElwain, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, we stand adjourned. Thank you all.
This week's official though.